pass under is the road that we took the other day out to Shiloh and Shechem. So to our right is how you go to Shiloh and Shechem. So we're going under that road. That is that ridge, the watershed ridge route. And we're up on the mountains. We're up on the top. So we came all the way from the Jordan Valley all the way up to the top of the mountain. Now with the rains, it's going to go down to the Mediterranean. We're going to make our way over to the Palestinian city of Beitin, which preserves in the Arabic the biblical name Bethel. And remember, I was telling you about Edward Robinson and his sidekick Eli Smith, and they were coming through here in the early 1800s, and they were identifying these different biblical cities based on name preservation in Arabic. And so sometimes in Arabic the L ending will turn into an E. And so that's what happened in this case. And so we have name preservation for Bethel and Beitin. The other thing is that the Bible talks about Bethel being a hub where many travel routes came together. And that's also what Edward Robinson and Eli Smith found. So how did Edward Robinson know where all these ancient routes came together in a hub? Well, this was like in 1840. He was riding a horse down these routes that had been used like they had been for thousands of years. And so geographically, we know this is Bethel. Linguistically, because of name preservation, we know this is Bethel. Then all there was left to do was excavate it to absolutely confirm it. So this site was dug by William Foxwell Albright, and all of the periods that the Bible says that this city was occupied were found, and then all the periods after the Bible and extra biblical sources that say when this city was occupied were also found. So I cannot think, other than maybe Jerusalem, I cannot think of another biblical site that is more agreed upon than this one, Bethel. However, you can hardly see anything at Bethel. And so when I went looking for where Bethel is, and I went searching all through Beitin, I knew it was somewhere in Beitin, and I couldn't find it. And it took a long, long time to figure out where Bethel was. And I didn't know at the time what I know now of why it was so difficult. There was a policy that was in place back then that if you dug a site where people were living, then when you were done with your excavations, you had to cover it all back up. And the reason is because people were living there and they need their farmland, they need their orchards, and they can't grow anything in a bunch of ruins that have been excavated. So for that reason, everything that was dug up was reburied. And so I was going around looking for ruins that actually had been buried again, which is why it was so hard to find them. So we're gonna get out and we're gonna walk around in Bethel, and I'm gonna show you kind of the process that I went through to finally figure out where this site that is an anchor point in biblical archaeology, because everyone agrees Bethel is Bethel. So as long as you know where one site is, then you can find other sites in the way that they're described, in regards to the other site. So it's very, very important for the second site that we're going to that we know where Bethel is. If we know where Bethel is, we know where I is, and vice versa. And so we're going to go and explore around. Now, I'm going to warn you before we get out, there's not much to see at Bethel because of this reburying thing. However, I've learned over the years that that you will not retain a site unless you go stand on it and walk around it. If you just glance at it out a bus window, it's going to be gone in moments, definitely in days. So you got to get out and walk around. And so what I'm going to go through here is the process for how I learned where Bethel was. I, of course, went to my archaeology professor who's been doing archaeology in the land here for over 40 years and asked him where it is. He didn't know where it was. So, and that's because it's back in this Palestinian city. And so, of course, the locals know where it is. And so one key is you go have some coffee and some tea with the locals, especially the older generations. And some of them worked on, some of the old men in this village, when they were boys, worked on some of the seasons of the excavations that took place here. We look like a tour group that just got totally lost. And so if you see anybody and they walk by and look at you kind of weird, you just say to them, just have Tim say to them, "Is this here Tel Aviv? Is this here Tel Aviv?" Say, "We're looking for the airport. Our flight leaves in about an hour." Like I said the other day, I used to go looking for biblical sites all around on the hills around places, but I learned you just go right to the mosque, and usually you'll be in the old city and in the ancient city right there, and that is the case here at Untitled Beitin. Need your whispers for here, and we're gonna just walk around town a little bit looking for Tel Aviv. Jericho.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go here and then up here. Okay. Yeah, most of them. Some of them don't, so some of them go out with the sheep.
Yeah, I just wondered if they want something for
They're trying to make that transition.
over the head. Yeah, I'm sorry, babe. My purse. Yeah, I'm pretty sure in 5 minutes the hotel's supposed to get to it soon, actually.
Okay.
Everybody's giggling.
Hi there.
They're all giggling. I like standing in front of you because
So whenever I'm studying a site, then what you want to do, an excavated site, is you want to get the excavation report. So this is just a copy of the cover of the excavation report for Bethel. Okay, and so it says 1934 to 1960, but they had 4 seasons. 1934 being the biggest one, and then 1954, 57, and 60. Okay, and so then with the excavation report, I was trying to figure out where this city is, and I figured this out later from the excavation report. But first of all, you look down, and this is an ancient Roman pool that you see down here, which usually that's in the same place that an older pool would have been. They just expanded it in the Roman period. Okay, and that's because this is where the spring is near here that fills up that pool. The other thing is you got a Byzantine church ruin sticking out here. So you have a Byzantine church and you got a mosque on top of it. Now one thing that they did not find here that has been found in Tel Dan is the Jeroboam worship place. Remember that he built 2 worship places. The capital was Shechem, where you were the other day.
Yeah.
And then he built a worship place on the southern border of the northern kingdom of Israel, where you are right now, Bethel. And then he built one on the northern border of the northern kingdom of Israel at Dan. We went to Dan. Archaeology found the Jeroboam high place at Dan. What is the problem here that we didn't have at Dan?
Occupation.
Occupation, exactly. You can't just tell people, hey, go move out of your house, I want to see what's underneath it. Especially if it's the mosque.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So a very strong possibility for where that that Jeroboam high place is underneath the Byzantine church, underneath the mosque, underneath the Byzantine church, one thing on top of another.
Right.
Can't prove it, but it's a strong possibility. Or it might be somewhere else that they couldn't dig because there's houses there. Joel.
What's the name?
Yusuf.
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 Hi there.
See, that's a little bus driver right there.
Yusuf.
To the people, we look like a bunch of idiots. Because they're thinking, what on earth is a tour bus pulling in here for, walking around looking at our houses? Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Okay, now for a long time, this is the only archaeology that I could find, which wasn't doing me much good because it's Byzantine and Crusader. And so, but you know, wherever the Byzantine and Crusaders were would be the ancient site.
Right.
And so you can see why it's a challenge to try to figure out where they were digging that's been reburied. So I'll show you how I figured it out.
This is another job site. Into someone's back garden.
I asked the driver, I said, I bet you've never taken a group here. He was like, never!
Oh, it is a back garden.
Okay, come gather around. Yes, we're standing in somebody's carport. Okay, this is the key. This is the key to it all. Okay, so this is the top plan for where they were digging. Okay, now this house that I'm pointing to that's above my finger is that house. It's a two-story house. I'll convince you of that even more in a moment. Okay. Two-story house. So how do I know that that house is the one on the plan? Well, if you look at it, it's got a wall-off area with a gate in it. Do you see that off the front of the two-story house, which is right there?
Uh-huh.
See that?
Yeah.
Okay. And even more detailed is that that courtyard that has a gate in it is attached to another house right next to it. See that? Which is that one right there. Two-story house with a courtyard that's attached to another house with a gate in the front of it.
Uh-huh.
This is the house that they used as their headquarters in 1934 at the excavation here. We're doing archaeology on the archaeologists. And in fact, in that house, in that basement, there is this cool looking wooden chest that probably is from that dig. That's just sitting in there. And I mean,
Oh, man.
Albright is a famous archaeologist. I mean, it should be in a museum somewhere.
Oh, man.
So now that we know where we are,
Yeah.
and then this road, see there's a road right here that goes around like that. So now we're gonna walk on that road around there. And these are the two big areas that they dug. And we know just where they are because of where these houses are. And these are late bronze, where they got down to the time of Joshua. And so we're gonna go now and we're gonna stand exactly where they dug. Because again, and by the way, do you see the minaret that we parked next to?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to use because we got to know where Bethel is from other places that we are later. And so we're going to use that minaret. The city, the ancient city, we're standing in it right now, and it goes further this way that we're going to walk, and it goes as far as we walk this way, further to the other side. We're not going to walk at all.
Thank you.
Well, can you ask the people to get the thing out of their basement, buy it from them?
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do with it.
I mean, put it in a museum or whatever.
Yeah.
What is it?
I just don't know what I would do with it between now and then.
Yeah. Okay, we can all take a fun.
احنا ما تدوريش ما تدوريناش
She didn't look happy.
I think because of the filming thing.
Oh yeah, probably so. Okay, another short detour. Don't step in the toilet. Just come into this area so that you can see me up here. So in the excavations, they found an oil press. Do you see it? I'm pointing to. You all can see it, or do I need to come down there? You see it? Here it is in a picture in 1934. There it is in present time. So we know we're getting really warm. Of course, it's just thrown in somebody's backyard.
You got a picture of it?
Yes. Yeah.
And there's another piece.
So this showing is the olive press that was found here in the excavation. So that's a picture of it in 1934, and there it is right there in that corner.
Oh, that's neat.
Oh yeah, you are. Come on.
It's okay.
No, it's okay.
They're not stingers.
Now, if you look down at your feet, you'll start seeing pottery all over the place. Like that.
Oh, big one.
Oh, wow.
Okay, now I'm going to show you something. And stand out in this area right here so that you can see me and the house. Here, come right into here if you can. No, they're not singing metals.
You can. I get welts, it's your fault, Joe.
Yeah, I want you right in here because I want you to be able to see the house that we were just looking at, that two-story house. So come on up into here, and I'm going to show you a picture from 1934. Come right over here. You can't see it from over there. Okay, ready? 1934 Excavations of Bethel. See the house?
The plot with the
You're standing on it.
wall. Yeah.
Huh. Wow.
See it?
Yep.
Okay, now I'm just going to show you. Here's a gate to the city that Joshua, at the time of Joshua, which was found just right over here. We're talking years and years of excavation. This is back when they excavated for months and months at a time. I'm just going to show you some pictures just to convince you that this was a big scale excavation, not some little piddly. I think you get the point. Okay? But it looks like nothing today. I mean, we look like a bunch of morons standing out in a field like we came all the way from America to see a bush or a tree or something. Okay, now listen. This is the anchor point. We have such strong evidence here that nobody has ever tried to say that Bethel is not Bethel. Okay? Bethel is Bethel. We got name preservation. We got geography, we got all the travel routes coming together at a hub, and we've got the archaeology that matches. Everybody agrees this is Bethel. As long as we know where Bethel is, then we know where Ai is. And that's because it's described in the Bible as being close to and east of Bethel. Okay, and we'll go through those scriptures a little later at a different time, but just know that. Now, Ai is the most messed up of all the cities because of scholarship. Well, Jericho and Ai together. So just as we are going through the controversy where they say Jericho doesn't match, they say the same thing about Ai. And we're going to go over and we'll cover that there. But we're going to go there now. But keep in mind, when you're walking back, look at that minaret sticking up. Think of that ancient pool on the other side. And this city goes, we're actually up more on the northern end of the city. This road curves around right there. You can see on the top land where we're standing. You see we're standing in this plot right here with the road curving around the top. You see that?
Right.
And that's that road curving around. And this is the northernmost part of the city. That northern gate was found just right over there. And then the city extends even further than how far we came from the mosque this way. It extends to the other side. It was actually quite a large city. Okay? All right. Let's go to Ai.
Oh, I'm gonna pick that up. Thank you very much.
Bronze bathrooms, Ai is a better place than here. Obviously.
Many eyes.
And then the L, which is house of God, the L changed to E, which you'll hear Israel. You'll hear the Palestinians call Israel, Israel. It's just a common
And here we're being watched by
change. And we'll cover that later. Don't worry, I'm going to cover all that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you don't have to do this.
Now I should also say this. You're also walking through the city of Luz. Luz. That's the Canaanite name for this city. Luz. Now there's a
Car!
You're not going to show us the rock Jacob put in?
I am.
Oh, good.
Luz means almond in Hebrew.
Oh, wow.
or
There's a
in
lot of
Canaanite.
almond trees.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw them.
So the Canaanites called this city Luz, and the Israelites called it Bethel. And the Arabs call it Beitin, which preserves that name. Here's another opportunity to give something if you have more. Okay, you see this big minaret? That's our flagpole for where Bethel is.
Where it all began for this to happen.
Hi.
Kathy entertained.
Are we going back on the bus?
We're going back on the bus. We're going to drive just a little over a mile away. It'll be a little bit longer than that because we got to go around where the road goes. So I'm going to switch the listening device off. Drive up. I want you to look in front of us is a high ridge. And we're going to be driving up on that high ridge right now. Do you see that?
Yep.
This is important because this high ridge that we're going to be driving up right now is the reason why you can't see Bethel from Ai, nor Ai from Bethel. Okay, and the ancient city went all the way out across that hill to our right. So look at the minaret over your right shoulder and know that the city was quite extensive. So now we're climbing up this high ridge that's to our left, and that's why you can't see from Bethel. You can't see towards the east. And this is going to be a detail in the story that we're going to read, that it's important to know that you can't see Bethel from Ai or Ai from Bethel. Okay, now again, look at the minaret to your right, and then the ancient city comes out on this hill to our right quite extensively. So Bethel was Jerusalem. Let's say that Bethel was the city of David, then we would be going up on the hill of offense right now. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
East of the city. So if you expected a high place for Bethel, you would expect it east of the city on this high ridge. Get a big bus into where we're going next, but don't worry, I've got it figured out. If you go one way, then you get stuck at a roundabout where everybody parks on the side and you can't get around the roundabout. So there's a special way. The first time I brought a full-size bus into this area, I came in another road, and it was not long after Ramadan, and they had the Ramadan lights hanging up still. So I came in one of Abu Ali's buses, and we started ripping down these Ramadan lights on the bus. I didn't exactly know what to do. I just jumped out and pulled them off and said I was sorry and jumped back on, and we drove off. Okay, so now we're going to cross this high ridge separating Ai from Bethel. And if it rained right here, then the water would go down to the Mediterranean. And right as we cross this ridge, we're going to go back under Highway 60 that we took out to Shiloh and Shechem. We're going to, when we go underneath it, then if it rains just over on the other side of this bridge that we're going to go under, or the road that we're going to go under, then the water would go down to the Dead Sea, or down to the Jordan River and then to the Dead Sea. Here is right at the top of the ridge. Now you see why this is called the ridge route, this ancient route that we're passing under, which is Highway 60 today. And now we're across that ridge, and now we're going to start going down. strong connection here with America, with the people here in America. And this was the case even back in 1934 when they were excavating at Bethel. So this is the only town I know of in the West Bank where you walk up to a local here and they say to you, "Hey, how you doing?"
That had to be from North Carolina.
I got a WhatsApp.
What's happening?
Yeah, so yeah, look at the houses, very expensive. So they have part of their family living in the States and they're sending their money here.
I am. My kitty.
Bethel, where we just came from. You're not going to be able to see Bethel because there's a high ridge there. So look to the left. You see that high ridge? So
Yeah.
Bethel is on the other side of that ridge.
Yeah.
Just a little, like 1.1 miles away.
Yeah.
And now we've turned onto the ancient route that connected Bethel with Ai.
Yeah.
And we're about to see Ai out the front windshield here in just a few minutes. In just a minute.
Sorry.
Ah, thank you.
Oh, now I can see.
See out the right side now.
Yeah, thank you.
So this is the only tell that is east of Bethel. And believe me, I've looked. It's the only tell. Which is what they say is that the archaeology doesn't match. Okay? But they don't dispute the name or the location. Now there isn't, but this is Ai. Yeah. Yes, thank you. So now we're gonna drive down, park next to the tell, and then we're gonna walk up on top of the tell